800 backroom technical staff contribute in a meaningful way to some of the poorest people on the planet, develop a personal connection with their plight, and create a sense of belonging as a new team without even getting together. Eric Park was working with Crossroads in Hong Kong when Microsoft asked this very question. Talking with his Crossroads colleagues, Eric realized that if they could create a solution for Microsoft, they could also create one for just about any other corporate team in the world. Doug Pearson from the US, Raylene Hillman, UK, and Mandy Jung and Bremen Lee of Hong Kong attended a team-building poverty simulation at Crossroads in 2010, which brought together more than 120 staff from Microsoft offices around the world. It was a life-changing experience for them. "We've got to do something now that we understand what poverty is like," was the feedback.
The simulations was very true. They feel it. They just not, feeling sorry for the people, but they feel the pain by themselves.
The team had already done a few volunteer projects.
Our team is actually, it's very global in nature, and a few years back we made a conscious decision to work on citizenship programs internationally with a global focus. Most notably, we've gone to Cambodia to build houses outside of Phnom Penh. We had 10 folks from our team go and construct 6 houses.
With various restructures, however, the team had swollen to 800, much too big a group to fly to any one place. Could they do something remotely?
They were often travelling and found themselves in a hotel room somewhere, bristling with technology, but tired of doing email at the end of the day. And they just wanted to transport their brains to a different place.
Eric took a look at the team's skills and interests, as well as the sort of projects Microsoft as a company had an appetite for. He then picked up the phone and talked to global equity brokers' various partners across the developing world. Together they created half a dozen options that would utilize the Microsoft team's expertise and connections, make a real difference on the ground, and provide inspiration for all involved.
We want to demonstrate that when every person does a little something, we really can make the world a better place. And it's fun, creating opportunities for people to bring their whole selves to a task, especially in the corporate world, where that is not always the case. When we realised that Doug is a climber, we saw that choosing a project in Nepal could tap into his personal contacts and his passion for the country.
In May 2013, it was time to broker the connections face to face. So Eric took Mandy from Hong Kong to Nepal to meet Share and Care, one of Global Equity Brokers' long-term partners.
We then started a fundraising program, an outreach worldwide, and also did a bit of an understanding on what types of skill sets we could use to put a computer lab in.
One event was a fun run in Hong Kong, where a number of staff came up to me and told me how much they enjoyed the opportunity to work on something so meaningful.
In November 2013, the team pulled the project together, with 6 of them setting off for Nepal.
I think we had 10 surfaces, we had a school-in-a-box solution, and then a few PCs that we were able to bring into Kathmandu, get everything set up, go out to the school, which is in a town called Bhotechaur, which is, I think, about a 2.5-hour car ride away from Kathmandu. Go to the Saraswati higher secondary school, right at the foothills of the Himalaya, and then put the computer lab in. So all in all, a real, I think, rewarding and interesting effort. The thing that was really interesting for us as we started to work on this is that it didn't really involve a lot of unreachable or unattainable skills or effort, really.
One of the beauties of the whole thing was that the more you spoke to people about it, the more people wanted to be involved, and that's where the generosity came in.
It's one thing, though, to set up modern technology in a remote area, but when something breaks, there may be no capacity or knowledge to fix it. To check this out, New Zealanders involved in another Nepali project revisited a laboratory they had previously set up.
They found that not only was every single machine still operating, but they were in such demand that 50 to 60 children per class were double shifting on the computers 6 days a week.
So what does this mean for the Nepalese? For a start, there are now 1,500 computer spaces a week that would otherwise not have been available. Bhotechaur, where Microsoft staff set up the computer lab, has a catchment area of something like 42 to 45,000 people dotted in villages all around. Before the lab went in, they had 4 computers among them.
Often they just can't grow enough food in these villages to feed an expanding population. Children have to leave the village and move into town to get work, and when they get there they need IT skills to get a decent job. If they don't even know what a computer is, they'll only get menial work or end up in prostitution. In some schools, children are taught computer skills using a piece of cardboard with a picture of a keyboard pasted onto it. So having a room full of computers now really is a giant leap forward for the whole village. Thousands of people.
One of the Microsoft team, Sanjay Srivastava, speaks Hindi so he could talk directly with the children in the village.
Taking out kids from these remote areas, being able to make them computer literate, right, is going to have a huge impact on their employability going further. So, it's going to impact not only their lives, probably their family's life in the long run.
A year after the installation, the principal of Bhotechaur School, K. Dalakoti, told Microsoft that the computer lab was proving fruitful for students across many classes. It's really making sense and influence to the students that learning can be this much fun, he reported. Almost all students are now digitally literate.
The Microsoft team cobbled together an internet connection while they were there too. It was literally just a modem sellotaped to a broomstick, propped up on the roof of the school. But all of a sudden, this gave them access to a whole lot of new curriculum material, which one of the UK team members had been developing specifically for the Nepal project. And it carried on. Doug told me that this project caught the imagination of the team. They had another corporate team event which raised money for the ongoing internet connection. Some people made some flashcards and others sewed up a quilt to contain the flashcards. Then Doug used his climbing connections to get the flashcards and the quilt across from the States and up to the school in Bhotechaur Village.
But helping out is never a one-way street. It's often said that the giver gets more back than they ever give out.
There's a lot of work we had to do going up to it. There was a lot of sort of challenges we had to get through. But everyone was obviously very enthusiastic, and we absolutely loved our week that we spent in Nepal, just enjoying the country there. And then, we sort of said, what's next, kind of thing. And I guess that's, with the bug is bitten, and it becomes easy to do something else.
Well, definitely, I think from Microsoft perspective, giving is part of the culture. Our goal is to help people having a better life as a human being, in a global environment, in whatever way that we can contribute to human mankind, basically.
I would say Microsoft definitely is one of the greatest company I've been working in, because it's not just thing of making money, but also allow or even encourage the employee like us to be involved in those community service. So it's just make me feel this company is very humanity, and that is willing to contribute with the society, not just take it from the society. So I feel really great to be part of this Microsoft family.
The joy you get out of doing this is really, really, very different than anything else you would ever achieve, right? The joy of giving is paramount, and once you experience it, you would want to do it more and more. So it's not only for you're doing it for others, it's actually for your own happiness. I think that's what personally did it for me. Building out that computer lab in Nepal was very fulfilling for me personally.
One of the most rewarding moments for me was hearing Raylene when she got back to the UK. She said to me, "Eric, I keep having these aha moments about Nepal." She had met mothers with daughters who could not go to school. Why? Because there were no toilets. And it is just too dangerous for teenage girls to go in the bushes. But these are parents, just like her, who want the best for their children. They just happen to have been born on the other side of the planet, where opportunities are much more limited than many of us take for granted every day.
When you're actually in the countries and you're experiencing the life that these people lead, you have those moments where you're just totally transported into the local reality, right? So it's not, you realize how lucky you are, or maybe you're not lucky, because sometimes they have really simple lives, right? and you kind of almost envy that in a way. But you also just realise that not everyone has the same deal, and that's probably what spurs me on a lot as well.
So I'm really excited to see what happens now. How does Microsoft as a company operate differently, little by little, because its people now have a heart connection with people who might be in different circumstances, but actually have a whole lot of inspiration to offer all of us.
Sadly, there is a tragic postscript to this story. In April 2015, Nepal was hit by an earthquake of 7.8 magnitude, which killed around 9,000 people and devastated the capital Kathmandu and hundreds of outlying villages.
Almost all the buildings in Bhotechaur were destroyed, although the school, which is relatively new, is one of the few buildings to have survived. Weeks after the earthquake, the school and the computer lab were still being assessed by engineers for repairs to make them safe. But the people of Nepal have an amazing spirit, and I keep seeing pictures of their tireless efforts to rebuild what has been destroyed. It might take years, but with support from people like you and me who care, I just know that the legacy of this Microsoft project will go on in a multitude of ways in hearts and minds right around the planet.